Hi, YouTube. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing okay. I saw Lionel Nation had a title to one of his videos about the Barbie movie and its lunacy. I'm thinking just a bit ago here. Okay, so calling a man a woman isn't being a lunatic, and I think that the movie is kind of I wouldn't call it lunacy as far as the way little people look at the doll, you know, as a figure in this world. But yeah, the movie, yeah, I'm sure it's not probably the best thing for people, little people. I wouldn't probably, even if I had a daughter, probably wouldn't even want to take her to it. But yeah, I just feel like just the words itself. I was talking about mental health yesterday. Then he just so happens to come up with that as a title today. What now? Are you so bored with your politics that you have to use something with my name on it to boost your ratings? Whatever. Yeah, I know it sounds a little egotistical. Just a minute, folks. Cheers. I know he watches me. He has for a long time. He took my saying, pick the hill you want to die on. That's my last name. My maiden name, Colleen, means hill or mountain. So, in other words, I was saying when you encounter me, you're going to have like a certain amount of death. Yeah, at least your ego or whatever. Well, it's the truth. I don't, I mean, sometimes the truth is painful. Whatever. But I was thinking, God dang, and he talks about people going after low-hanging fruit of topics to make videos out of. Why don't you try talking about real mental health issues out on this planet that are going to help people? Got any remedies in that great big brain of yours that you claim to have? I do. I have actual ideas for bettering things and have actually implemented them. What have you done for other people? Low hanging fruit. Yeah, he's a low hanging fruit. So, anyway, I guess when you think you're related to monkeys, you gotta hang from something, right? Yeah. So, yeah, just shooting a breeze. Not, not a whole lot on my mind. I've been watching a little bit more of that, see what his name is, Stephen, surviving schizophrenia. And then I watched a Biden speech and I noticed something. And then I'll tell you about something else with Biden. But people with schizophrenia will repeat what they said, like that. Trump does that. I've seen Lionel do that. My son does that. Let's see, who else? Biden. Or did I say Biden? Biden. Yeah, he does. He was given a speech. He had, what was it, two aneurysms in his brain, I think in the 90s. They split open his skull and repaired the broken veins in there, from what I understand. So, yeah, when people are saying that he's probably not all there, like dementia. It's not just dementia. He's had to overcome actual surgery in his brain, you know? I don't have any hate for the Duke. Excuse me, I don't like him, but, whatever. I think as far as being a president, he's no better or worse than any of them that we've ever had. They're all related, so, yeah. But, yeah, you can watch his recent speech, and you'll see what I mean. See what I mean. And the same with Trump. The same with Trump. Oh, here's another thing about Trump. Not only being a psychosis with repeating what they said, which is schizophrenic, one of the traits is, God, he does something else. Oh, talks about himself in the third person. Like, well, Barb is telling you here. Well, yeah. Okay, if I was talking, and I have before, out of like more being more of a joke or actually trying to tell somebody that it is a psychosis to talk about yourself. It's psychopic. It's in the dark triad traits of psychopathy as far as either narcissistic or psychopath. I'm just telling you what is written in the definitions. They're going to be changing definitions on everything. So and so but we need to gather as much information on different things. Well, I mean, as far as having to gather what is actually a woman or a man, I think most of us with more than one brain cell actually can gather what the truth in all that is. But yeah, it's going to be a mixed up world for the little people coming up, you know? It really is. And the people that are doing this to them, that's and then yeah, I'll say it. There's times I'll have hatred for these people when I hear total bald-faced lies coming out of people that are supposed to be doctors or scientists or lawyers or whoever, and they should be leading the people in a better way than what they're doing. Yeah, I have hate. So, and I don't care what nobody says. Go away. If you don't know hate's a real thing and you can feel that without wanting to harm somebody, then whatever. I can't help you. Go on the crybaby train with the rest of queers. I cannot help you. You know? Well, it's the way it is. So, that's the truth. Yeah, Biden was in Philadelphia and he was talking about the infrastructure of the United States and the amount of money that they're going to be putting into it, and that they were going to be building more tunnels underneath Philadelphia for high-speed train travel, so you won't need your vehicle. And he was talking about how quickly they had repaired that part of the interstate where the truck blew up, and um, that they used all local materials to do that. And then there was a few things that were untrue about the history of shipbuilding, that he said that a lot of the ships, or the only ship that was built, all American built, that is just not true. There were ones that were built in, I know for a fact, World War II, that were entirely built in the United States. So, yeah, I know it's true. You can look it up. So, that part, I mean, I think our president should know our history, and his fact checkers should get a grip before he's out there speaking. But, yeah, like I said, I don't hate him, but I don't like him. He's just one of them, you know. Yeah. I hope Doug got his tractor fixed. We got it fixed. He brought it home just a little bit ago. He had a load of, he was going to do some landscaping. So he had a load of dirt in the bucket, and the bucket would not go up or down. Well, he did fix it, and he knew what the problem was. In fact, the day after we got it home, it was leaking its hydraulic fluids out because they had cleaned the lines and put them back, but didn't clean them well enough, and so there was like a blockage, and it was leaking. And yeah, yep. But anyway, I just thought I'd make you aware of some of the psychopic um, traits of these people that are in positions of power, you know. And I really think that all world leaders should have a psychological analysis done on them, not just a physical one. It's pretty important. Where is your psychological psyche? Where are you at mentally? I mean, not just like I say, his physical, and then even going into like his dementia and stuff. Yeah, that's psychological, and it could stem from the physical, but yeah, it's an important thing. I mean, you really don't want crazy people leading your children to God knows where, because that's the main thing. They're just trying to keep God out of the picture. And the further they lead people away from what makes us who we are as decent human beings, that's going to be a big void in the world. I mean, it already is for a lot of people. They would rather say that they are spiritual than they say that than they love God, you know, that they could ask the universe for stuff, but they wouldn't ask God. Why is that? Why is that so difficult for people to acknowledge that they have a creator? I don't know. Everybody has a mother and a father, whether you want to admit it or not. Even if your father dressed like a woman, he still participated in making you, you know? And that we are born who we are born. And if you have that changed, it's not going to function like the fakes, like the real stuff, you know? And that's been proven. So it's all doing human beings a disservice to play along in the um, emotionally disturbed and distressed people that are being led the wrong way. You know, we do a disservice by not standing on the Word of God for people, you know, if we don't. So, yeah, I'm watching a value entertainment with Anthony Weiner is on there. He was, I do believe, governor of New York, I think. But he's kind of leftist, but even within that, and the people on the value entertainment um were like so bulldogish towards him. I don't even like the guy, that Anthony Weiner, but just just the opposition in the conversation, where they were butting heads so hard there was no leeway in either person. I mean, yeah, I could still sit there and talk to that person and listen to him say that, if he liked Hillary Clinton or whoever, somebody I just do not like, you know, and let him talk. But these people were not even letting him talk, and it's like, this isn't good, for the people that consider them self-conservative. If you can't work with somebody that is maybe considered left, you know, that's what the government's all about, is the left-right thing. But it shouldn't be. There shouldn't be any separate parties. It should be all one government for the people, Of course, with that attitude, they'd say, well, in comes globalism and tyranny, and we do have a dictator, and you're gonna mind him. No, he's a tater with a whoops. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I was a little disturbed. I'm, looking for good content out there to listen to, keep up on the news and whatever. I don't see that running people over when they're trying to talk, or just the rest of weird crap out here. It's just not getting anywhere. These people are butting heads harder than normal, than what is actually would be like. If you or I had a disagreement, we would hear each other out. We might even say something mean on the in between, but we still have enough respect and love for human kindness for each other to hear the other person out, and then to say what we're going to say without running each other over in the meantime. Of course, I mean, if you know that this could be part of it too, that they're the opposition that is totally not caring about people in our country, and that's borderline treason, or if it could be proven as treason, then yeah, that'd be something to butt heads about. So, I mean, I can see that, I guess, considering that interview that I was watching. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought I would have went about things a little differently. I mean, I would have been still strong in my opinion, but if you have a strong opinion and somebody else is talking, you're probably not going to lose what you were thinking. I mean, it's not going to go away what your talking points are. So you might as well let the other person say what they're going to say, and then if you have a rebuttal, you can say it after that. But I don't know, I just found it kind of rude. Yeah, it was rude. I mean, I would sit there. It's like I was listening to a live stream from George Galloway, and he had on a transgender man that calls himself Rose, and God blessed Rose's day, but I said hi to him. I said, "Hi, guy." I said, "Hey, Rose." That's what it was. hey, Rose, buddy, or guy, or something like that, God bless your day, because I'm not playing the game, you know? But I don't have to be cruel to somebody. I can still bring them back to reality in my own way and show love at the same time and respect for a human being. But this isn't how they want to portray a grandmother like me. They want to portray me if I refuse to teach my child something that isn't true, like I have some kind of hate in my heart or something. That's not the way I operate. It's not the way I treat people or go about things, unless you have come after me or you put people I love in danger. Then you're going to get a whole different me that you probably aren't going to. You might expect it now because you might be getting to know me, but most people are not going to expect what they get out of me when they bring that fire to the surface, you know? And that's a real thing. But I'm not going to be pushed into that corner and then have somebody point at me and say, see, I just treated you like shit and now look at you go off like some wild woman. Nah, doesn't work like that. It's called you treating me like shit and I'm watching you and you keep doing it, you keep doing it. Guess what? One of these days I'm going to snap on you and then you're going to get what you're going to get. That's how that works, you know? It's like when you pour something in your cup, there's just a certain amount of room in there. And when it overflows, well, a cup may not be. I think maybe a balloon, blowing up a balloon, is probably a better example of the truth. You know, you can only put so much air in it. It only has so much room to expand, and then it's going to pop. So, yeah. I don't know, it just seems like watching 6 decades of this political crap. Same old thing. War here, war there, scaring people with that, scaring them with this. It's like, it's never ending. It's always something. It's like, you'd think that something in those areas would have been settled a long time ago, you know? How could I feel like I could talk to my opponent or my foe in life and accomplish things? It may not be exactly what either of us want, but we can actually work through something and make something work um, where we're both happy with the outcome. It's like bartering for something, like if somebody has a truck and we have a car, and we're both happy at the end of the trade. That's the ulterior motive of all this. But if you can't even get there by virtue of language, I mean, if somebody's throwing in like the word hate where it's inappropriate, or bigot where it doesn't apply, or all these things that they actually are doing, you know, or calling somebody with me, like me, with actual scientific knowledge to share with other people, um, on Morgellons and stuff. That's not conspiring. These are actual biologically proven experiments. It's like life. It's proven over and over again how it works. This is science. This is biological science, biology that can be proven by doing the same thing over and over again. If you try and do something different, the outcome is not going to be the same. Therefore, it's not science. They're taking things that have absolutely no base in science and trying to push it as a reality. That's not conspiring against them. That's not bigotry. This is somebody that's sane pointing out something that's insane, and no amount of love is going to take the insanity away. I mean, we can't love an insane monster that doesn't love back. I mean, we can love what they appear to be, but we can't actually love something that isn't there. It's not real, you know. So, what they're actually doing to the whole human race, when you hear somebody call other people conspiracy theorists, you know right then and there that they are doing a human disservice to everybody. Everybody. Maybe somebody has some new science that is provable, not made up studies. Like if you start a study, which they did do, I'll tell you about it, trying to prove that people are different than how they are born. If you start a scientific study with twins back in the 50s based on lies and unscientifically unsound information, and you're paid by the establishment to put this information forward, then you have younger people jumping on the bandwagon with this fictitious so-called science. The young people may not actually know. I mean, they're going to know in their hearts what's right or wrong, but they're going to go along with it. They're going to go with the crowd because they're young and they're impressionable and they don't know. And see, these are the people that are really getting harmed by all of this, not just the little people, but the younger people in general, you know? So, yeah, watch out for, you got like politicians throwing that conspiracy word around. But if we really want to get down to the bottom of what lunacy is saying something that isn't true and trying to push it as truth. That's insane, you know? It really is. Yeah, what do you all think about that movie, The Sound of Freedom? I think it's a good idea that people are aware of the trafficking problem on this planet. I, however, do have, I wonder about the foundation itself and the amount of money and the people that are involved. How provable is all that, where those funds are going, where they say they're going to be going, and who's involved in it, what branch of government would be overlooking that, because there would be, a lot of questions. I'm questioning it because it seems a little bit shady, you know. And there's people like A Call for an Uprising that have been involved stopping child trafficking and talking about it for a long time. And people like me that have written my government legislators and tried to bring light on the situation of people being sold through adoption into other countries and different things that are going on, real things that are going on within our government with the help of legal aid, as far as assistance, I should say, attorneys that, yeah, I turn this way or I turn that way, depending on who's going to pay me the most. That's a new term for attorney. We'll just start it with an I, attorneys. So, yeah, there's real things that are going on right within our government, and they work with a great big corporation out of Norway called the Hague Corporation, and they oversee all adoptions throughout the world, or I should say most adoptions throughout the world. And just go online and see what it would cost you to adopt a child. And then if that child is abused and goes back into the state and it's adopted out again, or the money people get for like having foster children, or the different things that are actually going on in our world that cause little people harm, that it's not even being addressed. You'd think somebody like even Lionel Nation, and I brought that to his attention, and he had been a lawyer for the Supreme Court in New York, I believe. Why wouldn't you care about that? Why wouldn't you even mention it? Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you why. Because he does not care. That's why. Because he's making too much money off of lying to the people. Yes, he is a liar. No, men are not women. You call a man a woman, you're a liar. You are lying either for them, or out of your own shame, or to go along with the establishment of control over all human beings. Because when you tell an untruth out on this planet, it affects everybody, not just one person, every single soul. So, integrity is everything, and you can't pretend to have it if you don't. If you're not structured as a human being like that, then you're just scum. You're slime. And it doesn't matter how you pretend. Like, like yelling at me because I will not go along with the rhetoric. What's that going to get a man to yell at a woman? Well, if you were in my face, it would get you something you wouldn't like. But being that you're not in close proximity, you feel pretty brave. I'm not letting that go. No. Yeah. And yes, I intend to see that something's done about it somehow. I'm working on it. Like I've told you before, I do not personally believe I have any supernatural powers or anything like that. I believe in God and He loves me. And I ask for favors and I get favors done for me. And that's the way that goes. So it's in His hands. But I expect to see something out of that because I believe it. You know? Just like when I am on somebody's, I'll call it, when I'm on somebody's case, I'm not going to let it go because I see more potential there than that person might even see in themselves. So I'll stick with it. I might say or do some things that don't make any sense to anybody else, even the person that they think I am attacking them. And in a sense, I am, but for a better outcome than what is being portrayed out of them. You know, it's like, as a Christ helper, okay, I don't need to go up to a minister or a pastor and necessarily get in his face and tell him, hey, look, you're not a bride of Christ, dude. You know, none of you are. And prove it to them. Now, if I do that and they take what I said, hopefully in private, and I could counsel them on that, and they take heed in what I said and actually look it up and realize where their faults were and can come back and correct that, I don't necessarily need to lay somebody out in the public eye to make any kind of name for myself. I try to talk to people first, and through their own ignorance, things can escalate for them. And I actually got threatened not only once or twice, but 3 times that things, the last I heard, and that was the last I listened, that, like, basically I'm going to pay for my opposition. Yeah, well, we'll see about that. Yeah, we'll find out who's going to pay for being a liar and playing the people. And you know, lying to the American people is treason. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're out here saying falsehoods and it can be proven as a falsehood, such as a man is not a woman, there's some medical professionals that are not insane that will tell you a man can never be a woman. Are you treasonous because you're telling people that they can be? And it's a lie, and it's a proven scientific proof that you're a liar. That's treasonous. That's punishable by death in my country. Just thought I'd tell you that. It's like the media lying to people. You're all treasonous. So just hang that on your hat rack for a second, you know. Would I see that that's implemented if I could? If I needed to make an example out of somebody for that, to stop all this lies and the rest of tyranny that they want to implement, oh yeah, I would. I wouldn't like it and it would be heartbreaking, but yes, I would at this point in the world, you know. If you did something to the American people, and just as a layperson, one of the working class, you would pay for it dearly, no matter what the crime. We have laws that need to be followed. So, and it still is, in my opinion, one nation under God, one of many nations under God, the people themselves that love God and won't deny Him for these freaks that are trying to make it seem like that isn't who's in control because of their free will. So, unless it's the will of God, well, yeah, you have free will. To make sure that the rest of your existence is absolutely horrible, like the horrible things you put on other people out of ignorance, is exactly what it will be. So, here's a scenario. I'm not saying this is exactly how it's going to be, but this is in my movie here, how it would be that if you walked by a little baby that needed help on the street in your hell designed by me, you will forever be that baby on the street needing that help, that type of thing, you know. I also saw Biden over in Finland sniffing on a little baby girl. He literally was like, had his mouth on her like stomach area, and then he went to like kiss her by her neck or something, and she recoiled. And the parents were so stupid. Like the dad was there, and the mom was laughing, and the dad just ignored it. At that point, some stranger getting close enough to my child, as a parent, I would have turned my baby away, and the father should have got closer to protect his daughter from that freak. Doesn't matter if he has a public office or not. This is some weird man and some totally poor little baby. Yeah, he's a creep. I hope if you're ever encounter any kind of public official wanting to touch your child, that you're not going to allow it. Strangers shouldn't be touching your child at all, unless you're shaking hands. Now, that would have been more appropriate if he went up to the little girl and said, high five or hi, and she could have said hi back. But what he did made her turn away, you know. He probably, even in another language, could have said fist bump, and that little shit probably would have fist bumped him, because children are intelligent like that, you know? She was, too. She turned away from it. Little smarty pants. She can look back at that film her mother was filming and see the stupid parents she had for the rest of her life. That's one thing. They sure showed their hands, and so did she. To me, it was like a memory, like being raised by stupid and knowing better even when I was tiny. That's hard. It is really difficult. It's hard to survive in a world of monsters when you're the only one who isn't, you know, in your area or whoever you are, if that's the case. Might have had wonderful parents. And if you did at least one, that's good. And if you didn't, my heart does go out to you. There's some of us that, or some of you, I will say, that had horrible parents, and you don't want to say so, you know. And I can understand that. I mean, there was a time in my life that I didn't even tell my adopted parents bad things that happened to me, because I didn't want them to have to deal with the pain of what I was going through. That's how much love I had in my heart for them, you know. And I have to say had, because my dad's dead and my mother was never really a mother, you know, so. But yeah, I would not tell them a lot of horrible things in fear of what they would have to go through or what might have happened if I had told them what had happened to me in different ways. I know that I'm pretty sure, even if it was for the sake of the public eye, how things would look in the public eye, my dad might have done something really drastic. I don't know, but I wouldn't say things to protect them, you know. They did find that out, but not from me, and everything was really heartbreaking. And I did always want to protect my dad away from what his family was, but it didn't work. He ended up getting hurt anyway. So whatever. Thanks, Zach. You killed my dad. And yeah, he did. Just totally ripped him up. Destroyed him, actually. So anyway, yeah, long time ago, a lot of stuff happened, and I confided in my ex where I never should have, you know. But anyway, some of you know the story, but another day, not today. But yeah, just as far as being protective over people, you know. But you know, if you've had bad things happen within your family and you find yourself having nobody to talk to, it might be because you're protecting them, or it might be because you're protecting yourself. Whichever the case may be, you still have to weigh the outcome. Is it worth keeping all that inside yourself on your own for the rest of your life? Because there must be at least one person within your family, maybe not like with me. I was on my own, but um, you might have somebody that you can console, and somebody that you can tell your deepest secrets to, because I sense that something happened to somebody I've been watching, and he doesn't want to say anything about it because he doesn't want to hurt his parents. And I think it has a lot to do with his trauma and his so-called mental illness that may stem from trauma and abuse. That might not be as mentally ill as what appears to be on the surface, because I think that the spiritual war that is going on towards people is more involved than what the medical community wants to admit, because they want to leave God out of the picture, because it's more fashionable and you'll make more money. If you're going to call a man a woman, you're going to make more money, because then the man that is dressing like the woman is going to pay you extra for supporting his fantasy and annihilating what truly is a woman. It's just like blackface. It is. It's the same scenario. They're mocking me. They're mocking you. That's what they're doing. It's not funny. It's not a joke. It's not theater. It's living in plain hell. And yeah, I do feel like I died and had to come here and help people, because look at this place, you know? So, yeah, back to the spiritual thing. And, you know, when somebody's a psychopath, they are not going to care about what is real. So these people that are promoting things that are untrue, especially taking people away from God and His laws, not only is it untrue, it's unsafe, it's dangerous, you know, and they don't seem to care. It's like their brain stops at at the next $20 somebody throws at them like an old whore, you know? No offense to anybody that's like been out on the street or whatever you've had to live through, you know. But you know what I'm saying. Because I'm not one to really look away from other people's pains and not try and say something or do something to help them. That's not me at all. I actually got a friend of mine off the streets. We tried to get her sister off the streets too, but the money, the call of the money was just too strong. And if she hadn't been on drugs, it probably would have helped, but we couldn't even reach her. We couldn't talk to her. And then she ended up falling in love with her pimp, you know, so that's couldn't explain to her enough that somebody that loves you isn't going to use you like that. But yeah, it's just weird how one person can rise above something that's horrible and then another person identical um, can't seem to help themselves out of a situation, you know? I don't know. Because they're loving it. You know, it's who they are born. Can you imagine being born in the same womb and realizing that somebody in there with you was demonic and they knew that you were of Christ? They'd probably try and eat you in the womb, you know? Oh, yeah, they'd try that. If this isn't a real scenario, you know, which it probably is. Or if there's multiples in there, and what if one, like, if there was a big brother and a bigger brother, and the big brother was trying to get at the little sister, but another big brother slid up in the way and actually harmed himself by doing it, trying to keep the monster away. God knows what goes on in the womb, right? So you never know. It's kind of like here, out here on Earth. You know, there's ones of us that want to get in the way of Big Brother, even at the harm in jeopardizing our own selves, you know? And we do that by speaking up against what is not right, you know? Or physically getting in the way. Oh, for somebody that I think their dog is probably being attacked by energy weapons or people's bad thoughts, because they can do that too by projection. And my dog died like that, by the way. I watched her starve to death. So did my cat. So did my horse. All within about 6 months of each other. Couple of tips that might help: getting a piece of plastic with like newspapers on it or puppy pads, and see if you can get them to go potty on that puppy pad, or clean up where he did go potty and put it on that plastic to give him that idea. Dogs are smart. He might pick up on that. That's just a thought. Or to put the plastic down where your dog is might help some of the cleaning problem. I don't know. And another thought for his eating might be in it. Might be a little expensive, but I would invest in some like powdered milk and if he likes like eggs, and maybe make him like scrambled eggs with cheese on it, or throw in maybe a little bit of hamburger and bacon fat, something to get this weight on this dog. But what he would need most is protein to burn, and just with the dog food, kibbles isn't going to give him the protein he needs. So I'd probably just even crack like raw eggs in milk, especially if they're having problems like drinking and eating. It might help, or something that he just loves, whatever he just loves for a treat, or even maybe pouring like bacon juice or hamburger juice on his kibble and throwing in a few pieces of meat, something. Or if you're having like chicken, maybe take some chicken bones and chicken skin and make like a broth. And you could put even like if something cheap like Rice Krispies in there, or milk and Rice Krispies and an egg, or look for some like less expensive real food type things, for your dog. Just some ideas, you know, of things that I did prolong my animal's life, but not entirely, you know, because I know, okay, here's a for instance. This is how animals can be used against you. I had this cat named George. He was a really long-haired part Persian cat, just beautiful. Never would have hurt me for the world, never. This is a sad thing that can happen through sorcery or witchcraft, and people that know how to implement things towards an animal's brain. So I was holding my cat upside down, which really most cats don't let you do, and they don't, but I can pet my cats on their tummy and they will never claw me, they'll never bite me, nothing. So I'm holding my cat upside down, and I don't need to say the person's name. It wasn't Doug, but another person thought bad thoughts into my cat, and I can hear it when it's happening. And that cat clawed me and jumped down, and when he got outside, he never came back again. That's how ashamed he was. His feelings were so hurt. I looked at the look on his face when he clawed me. He couldn't believe he even did it. And he never came back. That's terrible. But it's a true story. And here's another thing that will happen to me often. Now my cat knows you don't bug me when I'm eating. I will give you treats. I will even save something for you. But all my animals are like this. It's called respect. They have their own food. It's constantly out there. I don't feed them at a certain time. They have what they need anytime they want it. So there's no excuse, right? So I'll be sitting and eating, and I can hear thoughts projected into my animal, and my animal will come and bother me. And I will tell her, what do I need to do? Beat your ass? Or the one that sent you? Because they can be used as mediums like that. And that's a sorcerer, and that's sorcery and witchcraft. And it is a real thing. These animals can be conducted and controlled by people's thoughts towards you. And that's a lot of what's going on. It isn't just energy direction, it's people directed. And that's something that's covered in the Bible as far as taking care of the animals. But there's more in scriptures that have been left out on the care of animals and people, and different ways that we do things on the planet. that has been left out on purpose. And these are the things that I'm trying to cover out in the world to make people aware of it, the reality of what's going on. You know, it's just like if you have a dog, you can think something with your dog's going to hear you thinking, you know, hopefully, most likely, you know. But it is true, especially cats. But an older dog, yeah, that's where my dog started getting more disobedient towards me and acting stupid because she wasn't feeling good and she could be more easily controlled. And these entities out there know that, and the people that work for them know that. So, just some ideas. I used to also, if I didn't have a newspaper to put down on puppy pads or plastic, especially for my bigger dog, Buddy, was a big Newfoundland Great Dane mix. And when he started getting older, I put down plastic, and or I'd use like garbage bags and puppy pads, and then some extra paper towels because his bladder was bigger than most dogs, so it didn't flood the whole situation. But I mean, he was good at going out. I mean, he never, can't say never. One time, I think he made a boo-boo in the house. But yeah, just some ideas that might help. You know, it's difficult, but I do know that it's not just directed energy, uh, unless it's coming from another human being towards your dog. And that's the sad part about it, because the dog or the cat is aware of who is sending them that energy, but it's compelled by the dark force. So it's an actual force within that animal that they have to battle. And it saddens them. You can see the sadness on their face because they don't understand why somebody that they want to love is not acting in a loving manner. It doesn't make any sense to them. And that's the most heartbreaking thing about the whole thing. You know? That's so criminal. That's one of the biggest crimes. It's just like, have you ever, okay, who was it? Some baby hit me one time too. What the fuck? I'm thinking, never had a baby hit me, but I was holding somebody's baby and they thought about it and the baby did strike me. And I grabbed its hand and I handed the baby back. I said, okay, you little shit, and I handed it back to the parent. Oh yeah, it was the same person that directed my cat to act squirrely, as a matter of fact. So yeah, intentional shit that happens, you know. Now that baby calls me grandma. But back when that happened, it was a little shocking. Yeah, and he would never ever lay a hand on me. And even when it happened, it wasn't him doing it. And I'm sure he has no memories of it at all. And I don't think he watches me either, so. And if he does, hi, buddy. You know, it's a long time ago. But these things are real, and so it isn't just like the noise of a environment or the electricity in the air or anything. It's the ether that can be used into these animals towards you. It's usually, from what I've noticed, has to be, unless it's a group of people doing it, but usually like one person like that can do that in close proximity to you, or used to be for me, like through my wedding ring or perfumes that hold heavy metals or um, different tools that they use to implement things against us. And here's something for you people if you do not know: jewelry is a conductor of electricity through the ether. It can be used for their brain to skull technology towards you, and so can fillings in your mouth. If you take iron and copper and zinc in your vitamins, all these things are actually metals. I mean, yeah, there's a certain amount of things that are supposed to be in our bodies, but if you have any excess of something that isn't meant to be there, it can be used against you. And they do, especially if it's on your um, this finger that goes straight up to your heart. You know, that's a dangerous spot. And if you just think about it, if you've worn a ring there before, you can still feel it. You can feel the something weird if you've taken it off that was there. And the something weird of the thoughts that used to have more control coming in at you that aren't coming in at you as much as they were. You can determine that by just taking it off and thinking about it a little bit, you know, depending on your relationship and who you are and what's going on. You know, I'm not suggesting you take off your wedding ring that you can't feel your spouse on the other side of that thing. That typically and normally should be a pleasant thing, but could end up being more damaging towards you and at you and control you. It's just like, okay, when I was watching Lionel Nation and I could hear, like with my thoughts, trying to get through to him using the Christ Spirit, was talking to him, and all of a sudden he looked into the other room. So this told me something. All of a sudden this look came over him like a curtain came down, and he was on the flippin' attack, and it didn't leave. It was there, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he got, and the more he ramped up his shit because witchcraft was being used against him or along with him with his knowledge. Now, that part has to be determined on my part. I'm not sure yet. Well, but then again, it won't matter if that's the side that he patronizes, you know. Well, I'm going to get this uploaded. I just wanted to talk about that energy direction and the reality of it. And it can either be done by one person locally or long distance in groups. It can be set up ahead of time from seeing things ahead of time in the ether, like they have their capabilities, and so does God. But it's being aware of what really is a reality and the way they use animals against people. And even in the playbook of like what is communism or the agendas of like they were doing in I do believe the UK, instructing people to put their pets down when all this plague bullshit was mentioned, that your animals could carry it, which was a lie. I mean, no more than any other time in history that humans and pets have shared existence, and any of those in common sicknesses that we share, you know. But to take the pets out of the people's lives to cause them sorrow, to put them on that lower vibration, you know, or to cause you distress, you know. So, But keep in mind now, here's something, this is real. When you have somebody that's injured in your life that has walked on the darker side, you know they did. They're probably still on the darker side, even if they're silent. And yeah, they can be used like puppets too, and it makes it worse, and it's hard to watch. But they still pick their allegiance too, so just keep that in mind through your suffering, that it's directed at you through the whole thing, and it really is. Just like it was on me, because they're trying to shut me up and stop me. You know, because what I know is right and just will shine through on this planet. So don't give up, people, and don't stand down. Don't. We all knew that we'd probably end up losing everybody we love in our fight for other people. And that's just the way that is. But we don't bargain with the devil. All right, everybody, have a really good night or day wherever you're at. I appreciate you joining me. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Talk to you tomorrow.